Welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast. In the episode today, you will hear again directly from one of the moms who did it. She stopped yelling at her toddler daughter, especially when she was hitting her. She stopped being angry, stressed out. She stopped wishing to go full time back to work just so that she wouldn't have to spend so much time with her daughter. And she did that despite her own difficult childhood, because this mom, she grew up with alcoholic, violent father. She used to blame her mom for being the victim and never standing up, never protecting herself towards him. So she healed all of that. And today, not only she's a calm, happy mom, she's the best role example for her little toddler daughter, but she also has a beautiful relationship with her own parents, not blaming them for anything, not pushing them to change, not feeling like they're victim anymore. How did she do it? And what else becomes possible once you heal? Come with me and listen. Hi, Supermom or Superdad. Alena here, your mommy tantrum specialist and the founder of the Zen Supermom system. And me and my team have helped hundreds of moms and dads start setting healthy boundaries with calm. And this is the first parenting podcast that is not about your kids, that shows you why none of the parenting techniques helped you stop yelling at your kids, and how to control your emotions from jumping out so that you can be the safe, loving parent you wish you had growing up. This is the Zen Supermom podcast. Hi, Supermoms or Superdads, and hi, Monika.
Hi. Hi, Lana.
Thank you for joining me here today for our another episode of the inspirational interview series. So you're one of our Zen Supermom clients, and maybe let's start by kicking it off by you sharing with everybody what made you want to even suggest or volunteer yourself for this episode.
Just want to help other people, and I understand that it's sometimes difficult to take that step because you might not believe it will work, or you're a bit suspicious of what this is. But I can tell you it worked for me, and there's a lot of science behind it, so that made me choose to jump in.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for courage and bravery to do that, because I can only imagine it took me years to openly talk on public about what a crazy mom I used to be. So we are blurring your image to protect your privacy so that your friends and family don't go and point immediately and directly. But I really appreciate that you're here and that this is your mission now to help moms like you. So maybe let's then go and share with everybody who's watching, listening. You're a mom of how many children, how old, and what was the issue at the beginning when you found me?
I'm the mom of one little Whta. She's 3 years old. What I don't know, being a mom for me, I find it really difficult. Some people just have this natural instinct from the beginning. For me, obviously, I love my daughter so much that no one can know, but I find it difficult. And I used to be a very calm person, and then I found myself um, just being in that mess of thoughts all the time. Um, and when the terrible twos or whatever you want to call it started, I just couldn't keep my emotions at bay. And obviously, I am pro gentle parenting, so I was trying to cut these emotions off, but you can't really cut it off. And so, after a while of trying to deal with this, I reached out to therapists before obviously meeting you. And yeah, maybe talking helped a little bit, but it didn't stop me feeling rage, and didn't stop me understanding what's happening with me. Um, And
Yeah.
then, I don't know, somehow I found you. And what you said on the beginning just made sense. And this was the missing link that I needed. The, this was the something that you said that, okay, this is what I'm missing in therapy. And that's why I decided to try it.
Yeah. And thank you for mentioning that because I hear that a lot from moms who are just starting, like that they have already done a lot of therapy and gentle parenting courses, and it helped them to some extent. But whenever the anger came, like whenever their kids did something that made them angry, they couldn't use it. So if you're there listening, super mom or super dad, and you're experiencing the same, please know it is very common. Nothing to be ashamed of, not your fault. But this is what I explained in that mommy tantrum training. Do you remember now? I don't remember if you were live on that training or did you watch the replay?
I think I was loud. Yeah,
Yeah. What
yeah.
is it? What was your biggest aha moment from that training, like that missing link that you were mentioning,
Um,
if you remember?
yeah, it was something about our senses and how we can connect with it. It was that obviously we call them PQ but didn't know then. But it was that, and it was about linking my childhood trauma with. So there was so many elements that you mentioned, and that made sense in normal counseling. I, I felt like this was missing because you're not connecting the dots, and without it, you can't really understand your feelings.
Yeah.
And
So let's connect the dots from your childhood. So feel free to share as much or as little as you feel comfortable with. Yeah, people, strangers, you don't even know who's listening right now, but they need to hear that because so often they have a similar or they have grown up in a similar background. So do you want to share a little bit about your parents and your family?
yeah, I didn't have a very unhappy childhood. But my father was an alcoholic. My mom was a very loving mom, but she was stuck in this dangerous relationship. Um, he would be aggressive physically towards her, and we would see all this, and we were very. I felt unsettled most of the time when I was at home. So it's a weird thing, but I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood home. Most of my childhood memories are from my grandparents' place. And now I kind of understand that this is the part that I wanted to cut out because I didn't even like my emotions. For me, it was like, yes, I went through that. It wasn't great, but I dealt with it. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But
Yeah.
that's in the past, that's fine. I'm okay. But it's not like that. You just can't cut parts of yourself without understanding them first.
And without healing them. And so thank you for your courage because there are so many moms who did experience some like heavy childhood, and this is completely normal, natural, understandable reaction to want to like sweep it under the carpet. I'm good. Look, yes, I became stronger thanks to that, and it's gone. It's in the past. But how did you see it then playing out? Because this is something that you understood a little bit on the training, and then even more in the program. How did that really link to your anger? Because this is the missing link that most of the moms don't understand. How do you understand that the link between your childhood, you watching your aggressive, violent father have really massive shouting, screaming, hitting with your mom, like that was this dynamic in their relationship? What is the link, as you understand it, with you getting angry then at your 2-year-old daughter who was in her, like, yeah, the terrible twos?
So, as I mentioned before, I was, how to say it, I hate emotions. Not anymore, because obviously I learned to love those parts of myself, but I was trying to live a life without drama. So live a life without any emotions and putting it somewhere on a shelf hidden. So obviously having a 3-year-old with intense big emotions crying, and that crying thing, that was really triggering for me. Like couldn't understand why then. And also, she went to a stage where she was hitting me, and that obviously then I didn't understand, but that really triggered that part where I seen, my father hitting my mum. And Sylvia, thank you for one of the sessions. Yeah,
kudos to your coach Sylvia. Yeah,
exactly. She made me realize where this rage is coming from. I was really angry whenever my toddler hit me, and obviously every child goes through that, so it's completely normal. But for me, the feelings were so intense. It was like out of proportion. It either made me cry or it made me go and slam the door somewhere like 10 times just to get it out of myself. Obviously, I didn't want to shout at her or be angry of her because I felt like, this is normal. But it wasn't normal for me. I just felt it so deeply inside that I had to get the feelings out. And then obviously the flood of guilt came. So
which all the moms listening, exactly, they will understand exactly. They will have lots of compassion for you, no judgment, because this is exactly what all of the moms who are listening to this podcast, they went through it. Very good. This was the link, and thank you again, Coach Sylvia. So we have coaches inside the Zen Supermom program who are doing the one-on-one sessions because, I'm sorry, I can't do that anymore by myself. So she helped you with that. Now also, the program is not only helping with doing the one-on-one sessions, help you manage all of those lost links and connections with the emotions and healing the past, but there's also a mental fitness piece.
Yeah.
And so when you did your assessment of your trauma coping mechanisms, aka we call it in mental fitness saboteurs, what were your biggest surprises? Because I was looking through some of our email conversations and I was thinking back, yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that is still one of my biggest, I think, win/shock. The biggest one was victim, which I never seen myself. So because my mom was a victim and she still is, my aim for life was never to be a victim, never to let other people walk all over me. Just even what my childhood was, I wore it as a badge. It was tough, but I survived it and made me stronger. I am who I am. It's great, but yeah, unconsciously I was still in the victim mode, and slowly, as I see this unravel, and every argument with my partner, or every time I felt super overwhelmed, the victim would come out. And it's great how you teach how to deal with this and speak to that part of yourself. And that was another thing that I just wanted to mention today. Every time I had an argument or I felt really emotional, before I started the program, I would feel so lost with the feelings. I didn't know if I was making things up in my head. I would go on a spiral and could last for days. And, I'm still sometimes emotional because I'm a human being, but I can talk to myself in my head and I can understand what's going on now. So it takes so much less time for me to, to hug it out with that part of myself.
Yeah, hug it out with yourself. And this is the beauty of it, because once you stop being the victim and blaming it on others, that it's them doing something to you, like what you're mentioning, basically you took control. You got the tools on how you can talk to yourself and hug it out with yourself, those emotions that are no longer scary for you because you know how to surf it, how to navigate it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Also, I don't want to cut them out. They're parts of me. But as we learn system, you need to understand, talk to that part of yourself and say, thank you for all you've done, but I don't need you anymore. I can actually do it by myself.
Yeah, beautiful. Because the cutting out never works. It's like what you
Yeah,
said before. It just it will jump at you when you get
yeah.
triggered when you need it the least. So yeah, beautiful. What would you tell somebody who is listening to your story, who's identifying themselves like with those pieces of really not happy childhood, but then not being the victim, taking like I'm the strong one, I survived, basically thinking I'm the survivor. But there is the anger, frustration, depression, like burnout. It still keeps coming up at them. They have done the therapy just like you did. Nothing is helping. What would be your message for them?
I would say just try this because it worked for me, and I know it worked for so many other moms. And I mean, it works for like thousands of people because outside this program, obviously, the research's been done on thousands. And yeah, it helped me understand myself. So I don't know if this doesn't appeal to people.
No, we're not here to convince like
Yeah,
anybody,
I
but
know.
just like thinking because they have all these fears and they're skeptical. And so, what helped you make the leap of faith? Did you have any of these skeptical voices in your head
Oh
thinking,
yeah,
like,
I
oh, is
definitely
this
had.
fake? I've never, like, this is online and who knows who this
Yeah,
person really is and stuff. So, what helped you overcome that?
and yeah, that was one thing, and then another thing was, well, I don't know. First of all, I met you, and I usually have really good instinct to these things. It just didn't feel like a scam. But also, I'm usually quite a cynical person. So even in the therapy, I just felt like this is all such a cliche. How will I go through the sessions without thinking like this just doesn't work for me. I can't really go there. But it did, and I've opened up some weird parts of myself that I didn't have access to. So I don't know, it worked for me.
Beautiful. So, how do you know it worked for you? How are you feeling today? What's different?
Feeling much better. I'm much more calm. Like I said, I mean, emotions still come and go, but they don't linger for days. I don't question every little decision. I just learned, you know, take the decisions because that was my other thing. I feel much more at peace with myself, and I enjoy spending time with my daughter, which is amazing because I used to sometimes dread it because I was scared that maybe I'll lose my calm, and I didn't really enjoy, playing with her as much. I was even considering at the moment I'm part time, and I was considering going back full time to work,
Just to
which
avoid
is
your
pretty
daughter.
sad. Yeah, which is pretty sad if you think about it. But I didn't know if I can spend that much time with her. But yes, I'm much calmer now. I think.
And what
Um,
effect do you see on your daughter?
oh yeah, that's. I think that's amazing. The meltdowns are so much shorter. Even if she's got big emotions, we know what to do with it. Mm, yeah, I think she's trusting me more, if that makes sense. Because before, when she had a meltdown, she would sometimes not want me around almost. She would push me away, and she just goes for a hug now. She just wants that hug straight away. So she knows she can get the love even if something doesn't go the way she wants it.
That's it, unconditional love. She feels
Yeah,
safe with you to have
yeah,
big emotions.
yeah.
Very good. That's it. That's the dream. It doesn't get better than that. Huh?
No,
Excellent. Congratulations. Do you see any results also in other areas of your life?
yeah, I think it made me understand. where some problems with my partner might have been. I had this with him, not hate, but that belief that all men are bad. And even if I knew rationally that this isn't the truth, it would still come out in the silly situations where my partner would have left a plate on the table, and I would lose my calm over it, because I would think, oh, there we go, he's leaving the plate for me because he thinks I'm gonna clean it up. So I'm not in that state of mind anymore, and I think I can express the boundaries more clearly without bad emotions around it. I can say what I want.
Beautiful. I'm curious because I don't remember us talking about it lately. What is your relationship with your parents now?
My mum been a loving person all her life, but she's just in a loop of being a victim always. But I just kind of learned to accept it. This is her life. I cannot change it. I used to try to solve it for her, which is not possible.
Yeah.
So I can listen to her for a while, without getting triggered. And also, I can talk to my dad. He's a great grandfather. And, you know, it's better.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is better than most of the moms that I meet at the beginning, what they even think is possible. Because so often, if we are not blaming it for our parents, like if we are not angry with them, or if we are not still deflecting and not even wanting to see, like, no, 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 I had a happy childhood. No, 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 this is not my parents' fault. Nothing happened. My childhood was amazing. Then usually they're in that stage what you mentioned, like when you see that your parents are actually caught up in their own childhood trauma, that your mom is a victim, your dad, by the way, like no child is born violent, like it's not even his fault, right? Like he must have been probably abused when he was a kid, right?
Yeah, he had a pretty bad childhood as well, so I learned to not hate him because he is actually a small boy still. He never grew up.
Exactly. And we are not going to defend it or justify his behavior. He should have gotten help. He had no right to take it out on your mom. That's like for sure. But also, there's no point in you hating him, like you feeling the anger inside of you and basically poisoning yourself to punish him. Like that's what logically it makes no sense for people, but it's very difficult to get over it and then feel at peace. Exactly like you said, like I accept it. I understand. You're saying like you have compassion for both of them. You can take it to some extent, like being around them and hearing your mom being a victim, like complaining without taking any control of her life and doing anything about it. So you can take a bit of it. You can be empathetic with her, but also you have boundaries. So you're not going to sit there and listen to her the entire day and then getting triggered because they're like, Mom, no, just do something, leave him or whatever. It's not your place to decide for her or push her, right? So what I hear you mention is basically it's the ideal. This is what like all of us should like thrive towards. This is the goal, right? Having acceptance and compassion for our parents. They did the best they could with what they were given. And there's no point in us being upset about it in any way. Like it's their life and you live yours. And it's amazing that you made it work, that your dad is now an amazing grandfather. Like this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm curious, Monika, what's next for you? What are you, is there something you're working on right now, like still healing and processing and that you want to improve any area of your life? Or now the focus is on like maintaining it and just enjoying being a happy mom now finally? Or what's the plan now?
Yeah, I've learned as well not to feel guilty about focusing on myself, which was my trigger before. Like, felt like whenever I had some time for myself, that was bad. Because moms shouldn't have time for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but throughout this time, I've learned that my time for myself is really important because I can then give back that energy that I've gained. So I'll focus on what I want to do with my life a little bit more. There is a plan in place. um, but just little hobbies as well, just little things that I've not had time to enjoy. Um, and just enjoying the time I've got with my daughter now while she's little.
Now you can, now that you're not triggered by it, you can enjoy the time fully with
Yeah.
her. Amazing. Well, congratulations. You did it. You have put a lot of energy and focus into your healing. You went into it with open mind despite those cynical voices in your head that you mentioned. So that's why it was possible for you to get those results. So congratulations. Before we wrap it up here, do you have any final words, any message that you have for moms who are still struggling, who are desperately looking, anything like what do you feel like you needed to hear back then from somebody?
So there is a way, because at some point I was thinking, and that was back in the day when I felt really depressed, that I'm broken, I'm not fixable. Um, but that there is a way that, you know, you're not broken,
Yeah.
you may be in pieces, but you can put the pieces back together and understand yourself a bit more. Um, so yeah, there is always hope.
And you're the example of why it pays off to take that leap of faith and start doing the work. So thank you so much, Monica. Thank you for being so
Thank you
brave
for
and
having me.
courageous. Yeah, it was pleasure.
Um,
And would love to hear from you, moms and dads who are listening to the story of Monica. Let us know and share your feedback for her as well. I'll be happy to send it to her if her story inspired you or if something touched you in what she shared. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank you,
Monica.
Elena.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.